You wake up tired before the day has even started, not because you did nothing, because too many things are already waiting for you. Messages, problems, requests, duties, loose ends, other people left behind. Expectations no one even bothers to explain anymore because your usefulness has become part of the furniture. Before your feet touch the floor, part of your force already belongs to someone else. So you get up, you answer, you carry, you fix, you absorb, you stay dependable. And if you do that long enough, something humiliating starts happening. The more you prove your endurance, the smaller your life becomes. You become the man everyone can reach, everyone can lean on, everyone can draft into their disorder. And because you still think discipline means saying yes to pressure, you do not even recognize the insult while it is happening. By the end of this, you will know whether your effort is building your position or just keeping you available. Machiavelli would not be impressed by how much you carry. He would ask what your carrying gave you control over. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Why suffering starts to feel like status. One of the ugliest traps in a man's life is that suffering can start feeling honorable long before it starts paying him anything. A lot of men do not just endure exhaustion, they build identity out of it. They start reading pain as proof that they are serious, proof that they are loyal, proof that they are harder than the people around them, proof that they are carrying what weaker people could not. That is why burnout can become addictive in a strange, embarrassing way. Not the pain itself, the meaning attached to it. The man who never stops starts feeling superior to the man who knows how to stop. The son who is always cleaning up the family's chaos starts feeling morally larger than the people who created it. The employee who is drowning in work starts telling himself that the drowning means he matters. The man in a dead relationship starts calling self-erasure commitment because the word makes the humiliation easier to survive. Pain becomes a badge, and once the badge gets attached to self-respect, the man stops seeing the damage clearly, because now if you question the suffering, you are not just questioning a habit, you are questioning a source of rank. This is where a lot of intelligent men trap themselves. They think they are being tested by hardship. Often they are being seduced by the image of themselves inside the hardship. The image matters, the tireless one, the dependable one, the one who never complains, the one who can carry more than others, the one who shows up when no one else does. That image can feel clean, almost sacred, but sacred things are the hardest things to audit. That is the real trick. Pain lets a man feel righteous without forcing him to ask the harder question. Not, can I endure this? He usually can. The harder question is, what is this doing to my position? What is it buying? What is it changing? What is it securing? Because many forms of suffering do not make a man stronger. They just make him easier to use while he tells himself a noble story about why it is happening. That is why some men stay trapped for years inside patterns that are obviously draining them from the outside. The suffering keeps feeding the ego even while it starves the life. And once that starts, the next stage becomes possible. He stops asking whether the battle is worth fighting. He starts asking how much more of himself he can pour into it without breaking. That is not discipline. That is the first surrender. Chapter 2. Count it like money. Now strip the emotion off it. Count the force like money. That is the correction. Not how painful was it. Not how noble did it feel. Not how much praise did it earn. Not how loyal did it make you look. Count it like money. What did this buy you? That is the question. Ask it again. What did this buy you? If years of effort did not buy stronger terms, more room to move, more say, more useful trust, better pay, more authority, or a cleaner exit, then the battle was draining life without improving position. A lot of men confuse hard work with valuable work because both feel expensive. But price and value are not the same thing. A hard battle can be worth it. A hard battle can sharpen skill, build reputation, increase options, and force a man upward. But another hard battle can do the opposite. It can keep him busy, tired, needed, and slowly stripped of leverage. That is the difference. Not was it hard? Did it pay? Look at work first. There is effort that builds scarce skill. Then there is effort that only covers other people's incompetence. There is pressure that wins terms. Then there is pressure that trains the room to expect infinite cleanup from you. One makes you more expensive. The other makes you more available. Look at relationships. There is effort that builds respect, clarity, and stronger footing. Then there is effort that only delays abandonment, smooths over disrespect, and keeps a man performing for approval he never truly secures. One creates terms, the other creates dependency. Look at family. There is duty that preserves something real. Then there is duty that turns one competent person into the permanent shock absorber for everyone else's disorder. One creates structure, the other rewards chaos by subsidizing it. Look at ambition. There is sacrifice that builds an exit. Then there is sacrifice that keeps a man trapped inside a role that would collapse the moment he stopped overpaying. One buys movement, the other buys continuation. That is the wrong battle, not the painful battle, the unpaid battle, the battle where the structure survives, other people stay comfortable, the channel stays open, the appearance of duty stays intact, and the man spending the force somehow remains exactly where he was. Maybe weaker, maybe more tired, maybe more resentful, but not materially stronger. And a lot of wrong battles survive because they are socially respectable. If a man wastes 10 years chasing status through cheap pleasures, people call him unserious. But if he wastes 10 years over serving a structure that never intends to promote him, people call him admirable. That is one of the cruelest disguises in adult life. Some waste arrives wearing vice. Some waste arrives wearing virtue. The second kind is more dangerous because it gets protected by language. People say, he is committed, he is holding everything together, he is being patient, he is sacrificing, maybe, but if the arrangement still leaves him with no stronger terms, no real authority, no greater freedom, and no cleaner exit, then the respectability is irrelevant. The battle is still wrong. And once you see that, you start noticing how many men are burning themselves down in places that only know how to reward them symbolically. They get applause instead of authority, access instead of commitment, warmth instead of clarity, responsibility instead of terms. That is not a return. That is camouflage on a loss. And once a man learns to count like this, a lot of his old pride starts looking stupid. The overtime he bragged about, the loyalty he performed, the rescue work he normalized, the patience he wore like character, the endless reliability he mistook for power, counted all like money. What did it buy you? If the honest answer is not enough, then the battle is already telling you what it is. It is not building your life, it is eating it. Chapter 3. Once sacrifice becomes identity, he starts cooking the books. Now the trap gets more serious, because once sacrifice becomes identity, the man stops auditing honestly. He starts cooking the books. That is what happens when too much self-respect gets tied to being the reliable one, the unbreakable one, the loyal one, the man who never quits. At that point, the arrangement is no longer just draining him from the outside, it has recruited him internally. He starts falsifying. He exaggerates the future return. He inflates the coming payoff. He tells himself the pressure is almost over. He calls obvious dependency a strategic season. He calls chronic disrespect complicated timing. He calls dead effort an investment. He protects the arrangement with language before he ever protects himself with action. That is how corruption enters. Not always through greed, often through pride. Because the moment he admits the truth, he has to admit something worse than fatigue. He has to admit misallocation. He has to admit he spent years feeding the wrong machine. He has to admit he was not being forged. He was being used. And for a lot of men, that is harder to face than the exhaustion itself. So they reinterpret everything. The wrong woman becomes a lesson in patience. The dead-end role becomes proof of commitment. The family arrangement becomes sacred duty. The failing mission becomes too important to abandon. The years already spent become the reason even more years must be spent. This is what sunk cost sanctification looks like in real life. A man turns previous waste into moral obligation. He says, I have already given too much to leave now, but that is exactly backwards. The more he has already fed the wrong battle, the more urgent the audit should become. Instead, identity makes the audit feel like treason, so he censors evidence. He remembers the praise and forgets the terms. He remembers the rare warm moment and forgets the pattern. He remembers the promise and forgets years. He remembers the image he built and forgets the results it failed to create. That is why some men will attack the exit harder than they ever attacked the trap, because the exit threatens the story. If he leaves, he must admit the story was wrong. If he stays, he can keep narrating himself as loyal, deep, noble, patient, serious. He pays for that story with his future, and once he starts protecting the lie in his own head, the next layer becomes obvious. If he is willing to falsify the books internally, external systems barely have to work to keep him in place. Chapter 4. The arrangement keeps you alive with crumbs. This is where the structure shows its hand. Most draining arrangements do not hold a man with one dramatic chain. They hold him with crumbs. Just enough praise. Just enough warmth. Just enough future promise. Just enough selective access. Just enough guilt. Just enough recognition to keep supply flowing. That is the mechanism. The arrangement does not need to pay him properly if it can keep him hopeful. It does not need to reward him fully if it can keep him waiting. It does not need to respect him cleanly if it can keep him interpreting scraps as signs that his sacrifice is about to matter. The boss hints that advancement is close, never now, always close. The family dangles. Approval through duty. Just one more favor, just one more rescue, just one more season of carrying the weight. The relationship gives warmth selectively, not enough to create stability, just enough to stop, exit. The mission keeps promising that the payoff is coming next month, next quarter, after the next push, after the next sacrifice, after the next proof of loyalty. And because the man is already invested, crumbs feel bigger than they are. That is the ugly elegance of the mechanism. The arrangement does not feed him strength. It feeds him continuity. It feeds him enough to stay, enough hope to delay. Action. Enough access to preserve fantasy. Enough guilt to make leaving feel dirty. Enough selective warmth to make starvation feel temporary. So he keeps spending, and the structure profits because his supply stays low friction. That matters. A system loves the man it does not have to negotiate with. The man who brings labor, steadiness, time, emotional buffering, rescue work, and reliability without demanding proportionate terms is the cheapest form of fuel in the room. That is why crumbs are efficient. They cost less than respect, and this is where a lot of men still flatter themselves. They think they are staying because the bond is deep, the duty is high, the mission is noble, the future is almost here. Sometimes, often not. Often, they are staying because the structure learned the minimum dose of reward needed to keep them from walking. That is not love. That is maintenance. That is not trust. That is rationing. That is not recognition. That is control with a smile on it. And the more conscientious the man is, the easier this mechanism works on him. Why? Because conscientious men are vulnerable to incomplete payments. Give a careless man vague promises and he may leave. Give a disciplined man vague promises and he may decide to prove himself one more season. Give a selfish man crumbs and he may call them crumbs. Give a dutiful man crumbs and he may decide to be grateful. That is why so many good men get trapped in bad structures. Their strongest traits are what the structure feeds on. Reliability becomes an extraction surface. Patience becomes a holding tank. Conscience becomes a handle. Competence becomes the excuse for loading them harder. And because these are honorable traits in the abstract, they are slow to suspect what is happening. They assume the problem is that they have not yet given enough. Often the problem is the opposite. They have already given enough for the system to learn it can run on. Underpayment. And if a man does not understand that mechanism, he will keep calling scraps evidence that the battle is still alive, even when the outcome has already been decided against him. Chapter 5. He mistook being load-bearing for being valuable, because this is where a man has to be brutal with himself. He mistook being load-bearing for being valuable. He mistook being easy to deploy for being hard to replace. He mistook responsiveness for rank. He mistook praise for power. That is the delusion. What he called discipline was often elite servitude, dressed up as character. Look at how this works. Socially, the most interruptible man gets praised for being committed. The man who never refuses gets called reliable. The man who can always be loaded gets treated as indispensable. The man who absorbs the most gets admired for maturity. And because the praise feels elevated, he starts confusing frictionless deployability with status. But systems often praise the easiest supply precisely because it is easy supply. The faster they can interrupt you, the less they have to negotiate. The more automatically you answer, the less they have to respect your timing. The more instantly available you are, the less they need your consent in any meaningful sense. That is the hierarchy logic most men miss. The room does not always praise the strongest man. Sometimes it praises the lowest friction man, not because he commands the structure, because he saves at labor. That is not value in the political sense. That is convenience mistaken for status. The dependable employee gets admired because he keeps the machine from feeling its own incompetence. The over-functioning son gets admired because he keeps the family from facing its disorder. The endlessly patient partner gets admired because he keeps the relationship from paying the cost of truth. The tireless fixer gets admired because he spares everybody else from negotiation with reality. Praise can be one of the cheapest payments a system makes, and if a man is hungry enough for praise, he will take it as proof of rank. That is how elite servitude is built, not by chains, by flattery. And flattery is especially effective when it echoes the identity he already wants to believe. Call him mature, and he will swallow disrespect in silence. Call him dependable, and he will stay interruptible. Call him strong, and he will keep carrying what should have been negotiated. Call him different from weaker men, and he will keep paying a price he should have billed back to the structure. That is why this chapter is not just about vanity, it is about hierarchy. The more instantly deployable he becomes, the less anyone has to bargain with him. The less anyone has to bargain with him, the less power he actually has. But because the room keeps praising his usefulness, he can miss the downgrade completely. He thinks he is rising because he is central to operations. In reality, he may only be central to cleanup. He thinks he is trusted because people keep leaning on him. In reality, they may only trust that he will not force a price. He thinks he is essential because people panic when he is absent. In reality, they may only panic because cheap supply has become part of the architecture. He is told he is strong, dependable, rare, solid, a real man, the one who can handle it. And because the words feel elevated, he fails to notice what is missing. Terms, protection, position, authority, the right to slow things down, the right to be difficult, the right to force negotiation, the right to say no without being morally downgraded. If those things are missing, then the admiration means far less than he thinks. It may mean only this: the system has found a prestigious way to keep him compliant. That is why this chapter matters. It is not enough to see that the battle paid badly. He has to see why he stayed proud inside the bad payment. Because as long as praise still feels like power to him, he will keep volunteering for arrangements that treat his availability as proof of worth. And once that illusion breaks, the next move becomes inevitable. He reduces supply. That is when the politeness ends. Chapter 6. The moment supply drops, punishment begins. Here is one of the clearest laws in this whole subject. The arrangement stays polite only while supply is uninterrupted. That is why refusal is such valuable intelligence. The moment a man stops answering every false emergency, stops overfunctioning, stops volunteering his conscience, and stops smoothing over what should be costly for other people, the real reaction begins. Now the system tells the truth, not with honesty, with punishment. He gets called selfish, cold, changed, difficult, ungrateful, disloyal. Warmth gets withdrawn. Urgencies suddenly multiply. Old favors get brought up like debt. Past sacrifices are weaponized against him. People who were calm while his supply was flowing become morally theatrical the moment it slows down. That is not random. That is exposure. The boss who was vague about your future becomes very clear the moment you stop over-delivering. The family that treated your reliability as natural law becomes shocked when your availability is no longer automatic. The woman who liked your steadiness becomes indignant the moment your steadiness is no longer free. The friend group that coasted on your elasticity invents emergencies when your boundaries finally appear. Look at the pattern. As long as you are paying, they call it normal. The moment you stop paying, they call it moral. That is the inversion. And once you see it, a lot of old confusion disappears. You stop asking, why did they change when I changed so little? Because you did not change in the way that matters to them. Supply changed. You stopped being instantly reachable, instantly useful, instantly absorbent, instantly available for interruption. That feels small from the inside because it may be one missed call, one delayed answer, one favor refused, one week of distance, one boundary finally enforced. But from the structure's perspective, it is not small at all. It is a threat to an arrangement that had quietly started budgeting your conscience as if it belonged to the room, and it tells you exactly what the arrangement was running on, not mutual. Respect. Your supply. This is why backlash should not always be read as proof that you made a mistake. Often, it is proof that the extraction had become accustomed to smooth delivery. The panic matters. When refusal produces accusation, dependence is being exposed. When distance produces smear, access was being treated as entitlement. When slower answers produce rage, your timing was subsidizing someone else's comfort. That is why Chapter 6 matters so much. It is the chapter where a man stops interpreting conflict emotionally and starts reading it politically. Backlash is information. It tells you who needed the old arrangement. It tells you who benefited from your loose conscience. It tells you who was calm only because your force was always on tap. And once you see that clearly, something changes. Reserve stops feeling rude. Silence stops feeling guilty. Selective effort stops feeling cold. Because now you understand what uninterrupted supply was really financing. The next step is not just distance. It is command. Chapter 7. When force stops leaking, other people lose their timing advantage. This is the payoff chapter, not the emotional payoff, the structural one. Burnout starts dropping when force stops leaking into unwinnable campaigns. And when that happens, other people lose their timing advantage. That is what most men do not understand. Reserve is not a mood. Reserve is power over tempo. Slower answers are not aesthetic. They force other people to live inside. Your timing, instead of forcing you to live inside theirs, silence is not just composure, it reveals who panics when access closes. Selective effort is not laziness, it is concentration. Once a man stops spending himself automatically, several things happen at once. Fake urgencies start failing. People have to negotiate instead of assume. Entitlement becomes visible because it finally meets resistance. Dependence becomes measurable because access is no longer free. And the man's force starts coming back to him in forms he can actually use. Terms, exits, authority, negotiation power, protected time, cleaner channels, more selective, alliances. That is what command looks like in practice. Not drama, not slogans, not protect your energy language for people who want to feel deep without changing structure. Command means your force is no longer disappearing into places that cannot strengthen you. Command means slower answers change negotiations. Command means withheld access reveals who is feeding. Command means concentrated effort starts buying something real. It also means something more subtle. The man stops radiating availability. That changes everything. People become less casual with his time. Demands get tested before they are made. Requests become more precise. False emergencies lose some of their authority because they are no longer guaranteed a full emotional response. The room starts feeling cost again. That matters because cost is what forces respect back into a cost system. When a man is frictionless, everybody gets sloppy around him. When a man has edges again, the room has to measure itself. That is why selective deployment is not just good for his schedule. It changes other people's behavior. It teaches them that access is not automatic. It teaches them that timing belongs to someone. It teaches them that his force is not a public utility. Watch the contrast carefully. The old man jumped fast, stayed available, solved everything, carried everyone, and called the exhaustion discipline. The new man answers slower, keeps more reserve, lets weak urgency expose itself, makes other people meet his timing, and puts effort only where it starts returning as stronger footing. That is why the fatigue changes, not because life becomes soft, because the force is finally under ownership. The hours may still be heavy, but they no longer feel like tribute paid to unwinnable campaigns. They start producing structure, and when effort starts producing structure, burnout loses one of its deepest fuel sources, because a huge part of exhaustion was never just volume. It was futility. It was knowing, somewhere below language, that you were spending yourself where no serious gain could come back. So yes, sleep matters, rest matters, recovery matters, but none of those things can save a man who keeps feeding the wrong battle, because he will wake up and pour himself right back into the same machine. That is why. This is not a wellness problem first. It is a battle selection problem. If your force keeps going into channels that cannot raise your terms, increase your options, sharpen your leverage, or give you cleaner command over your own life, then the exhaustion is not mysterious. It is evidence. Evidence that the battle is wrong. Pain was mistaken for rank. Dead effort escaped audit. Sacrifice became identity. The arrangement kept him fed with crumbs. Servitude dressed itself as discipline. Refusal exposed the feeders. Reserve restored command. He was not broken by effort. He was consumed by arrangements that paid him in duty and took payment in life. Burnout was the receipt. Subscribe and like if you want to stop spending effort that never raises your position. Exhaustion is not a medal when it buys nothing. Comment the battle that drained years without giving you more command.